We live in a world ruled by tyranny, where knowledge is suppressed and ignorance is glorified. A world where propaganda and misinformation travel the airways at the speed of lies. But in the midst of the violence and chaos, a great awakening is taking place. And as the media empires continue to collapse, a new network is forming. A network of truth, a network of courage, a network of awareness. Peace and greetings. You are now tuned into the Network of Awareness podcast radio station, where we examine current events, politics, health, finance, and topics of cultural relevance in America and throughout the world, while bringing you insightful interviews with guests that will both educate and inspire you. And now, your host of the Network of Awareness podcast radio station, Aura the Informationalist.
Please just tell me what's happening to me in plain English without the mumbo jumbo.
My aura is a network full of awareness and gifts like Aura, the informationalist.
How you doing? How you doing?
All right. Peace and greetings, people from around the world. You're now tuned in to the live broadcast of the Network of Awareness. I'm your owner. I'm actually your host, owner, and founder of the Network of Awareness, or the Informationalist. And we got a great show for you today. We're going to bring on a guest by the name of Anna Brook, who is an entrepreneur and also a podcaster. And I love bringing fellow podcasters onto the show. And Lord willing, I'm going to be on her show in the future as well. But this show today is season 5, which is Great Understandings. And it's episode 70, The Power of the Mind. And Anna's going to give us a lot of information about how powerful our minds are and things that she's doing to support that, so that we effectively use our minds as much as possible to be productive throughout our day. And she's also going to give us a lot of information. She's going to give her testimony about her walking in her truth in life and some of the things that she's been through to get to where she's at right now. So let me tell you a little bit about Anna Brook before we bring her on to the show and introduce her and give you some brief biography on Anna, okay? So Anna's very passionate about personal development and the power of the mind. Anna started the Intern podcast in October of 2002 to inspire, October of 2022 to inspire and motivate her listeners. She is a believer of living life on her terms. Anna has worked as a pharmacist since 2016, and during this time, she developed leadership and communication skills, as well as an active listening and compassion towards her patients. In addition to her career as a pharmacist, Anna is a certified holistic health coach and the co-founder of Biomental, a nutritional supplement company based out of New York City. And all this information, by the way, brothers and sisters, is in the description box. So all the ways to communicate with Anna and find out more about what she does is in the description box. Also, staying solutions orientated, creative, and thinking outside the box, Anna is determined to grow a culture of healthy, focused, and strong human beings by providing tools and support through her work. She loves to engage in deep conversations on the topics of self-help and mental health. In her spare time, she enjoys reading books, cooking, meditating, and dancing the tango. So, brothers and sisters, let's bring Anna onto the show here. All
Hello,
right.
everyone.
Welcome to the show,
Hi.
Anna.
It was so pleasure to be here. Thank you, Aura, for inviting me.
Yes, sure, not a problem. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. And how is it out there in New York City today? Is it cold?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's getting warmer, but it's still kind of chilly and windy outside. But I'm still hopeful soon we're gonna see the warm days and spring is coming.
Yes, spring is near. I'm actually looking
Mm-hmm.
forward to celebrating the Passover and starting the new
Mm,
year in springtime, and it's going to be good. This year has been a good year so
yeah,
far, according to the
definitely.
Gregorian calendar, but
Uh-huh.
it's getting better and better. So I'm looking forward to it. Um, so let's start off. Now, you are of Russian descent,
Yes.
all right,
Yeah.
and you are from Kazakhstan
Right.
originally.
I've been born in Kazakhstan, and first 10 years of my life I lived there, and then with my family I moved to Russia and lived in Moscow for a while. And
Hmm.
after that, yes, I came to New York City since 2009. So it's been like 14 years that I'm here, and it's my new home now.
So, to all my Russian listeners, because I do have a nice following in Russia, we have one of your
Hmm.
very own here, originally from Kazakhstan and also lived in
Oh.
Moscow, which Moscow does listen to the show as well. Um, so, so Anna, if there's one thing that you can say about living in America, in the United States, especially New York City, because out of all the,
Hmm.
there's no place in the country like New York City or in the world, really. It's the melting pot of the world. But if there's one thing that you could say that's very different from American culture or living in America compared to living in Russia, what would that one thing be?
That one thing, I think it's more the mindset that people have here. And if you feel that openness and friendly, kind of attitude of people around you. And I always felt that in Russia, you're more kind of like on your own. You're not trying to kind of invade in other people's spaces, which is good, but sometimes it's too much of being kind of like separated from one another. As much as we're separated now, but some people even make it further, trying to kind of like be um, I don't know. It's just part of the culture, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, but you have that sense that, you don't want to interrupt that person kind of space and start engaging in conversation when you're over there. But here, when I came, it was, different for me, and people were willing to help me, and they would just be like, strangers on the street asking, how can I help you? And that kind of new way of approaching and engaging in conversation. That's what I liked about it, and being open. And it definitely affected the way I started acting with people as well. And me being like, Russian descent. I didn't know English that well at the time. And sometimes I didn't understand what they were saying, but you feel the energy, right? Sometimes it's not just the words that people say, but the energy they emit in when they interacting with you. And you knew, like I knew when I came, that this is the place I want to live, and that's how I've noticed this difference in terms of communication with people.
You know why I'm laughing? Because
Mhm.
you said in Russia people don't invade your space.
Yeah.
It's like that in New York City too.
Really?
Now it's interesting that you say these things because it must have changed some degree, but also
Mm.
it's also based on your perspective. Because I know growing up in New York City is like this place where people don't intrude on your space. It's like leave me alone,
Mhm.
let me do what I'm doing, don't get in my way, and we won't have any problems. So it's very interesting that you say that. But I'm glad that you are having that type of experience because that's how it
Yeah,
should be.
right.
But New York is very much when I was growing up, nobody intruded on your space. You know,
Mm.
when I rode the subways, everybody was very quiet and staying to themselves. But I guess sometimes things change with the culture because I noticed that New York City has a lot of more diverse cultures even more now than it
Yeah.
did 20, 25, 30 years ago. So um let's start off with your purpose in life. Let's start off
Mm-hmm.
there because you and I had a private conversation about this, and I get this sense from you that you're very passionate about living and doing for others. You seem to be very charitable in the work that you do, and you want to help people become better versions of themselves and have a greater understanding of
Yeah.
this experience called life. So, what has made you that person? What can you talk about some of the experiences that you had that made you and has brought out this passion within you and has given you this sense of purpose now?
Yes, of course. I mean, my journey had started a long time ago, but I would consider this switch that happened when I came here in the United States. So first, I was more into, studying and getting my degree as a pharmacist. And as a lot of us been told through the childhood that we need to get that certain profession in life and then start working. So that's what I've been focusing on. And once I finished that degree, I started working as a pharmacist in retail pharmacy in the United States. After a while, I started feeling like I'm getting burned out. I'm feeling very not healthy in a way, just not just physically, because you have those long shifts where you stand all day and you feel like you don't have enough time to kind of like relax and have that break for yourself, but you're constantly doing something, and nobody cares that you don't have that time for yourself. So all they need from you is the work that you're supposed to be doing. And we're realizing that nobody would care about my own needs, first of all. And second, again, like I told you, my highlights of the day were when I was interacting with people and really seeing that impact that I was doing through those small kind of advice that I would give them in terms of like medication or something that they feel they need us resolve some issue on. So I noticed that my power was in the way I was interacting with them, in a way that I would present them the solution and to clear up some kind of concerns that they had. And that made me realize that it must be something else that I could have been doing right now that would bring me that fulfillment, because I didn't feel any. Even though the profession is good, I never regretted getting that degree and having that experience. But it taught me that I have to first prioritize my mental and physical health most of all, and then everything else will fall in place. So I started researching what else I could be doing, applying my skills. And with me being passionate about wellness, also after working for a while as a pharmacist, I've noticed how many people have the chronic conditions right now. Those certain type of illnesses that usually people develop over time and could have been prevented only if we would decided to use you have some kind of different lifestyle, change the way we eat, what we eat, how we exercise, all of those different lifestyle modification that needs to be taken in place in a way that you can prevent those from happening. But modern traditional medicine focuses mostly on relieving the symptoms of what you're feeling right now. And people on tons of medication every single day, and sometimes they don't know why they're taking them, right? So with me counseling them and explaining why they're taking certain medication, and also realizing that they might, not take them at all if only they decided to change the way they were doing things in the first place. So that also ignited that desire in me to educate and kind of like go into holistic way of healing and coaching people, that there are ways other than medication that you can be you can you focus on and know what's available, what kind of tools out there that could empower you and give you that type of information that you need in order to start today, right? And that also kind of like give me the start of my own nutritional supplement company. And also I decided to certify as a holistic health coach as well, and having those clients where I could work one-on-one and tell people what the problem is and how it could be fixed, in terms of like what kind of plan we can put in place in order to get to the goal that they gone, and I could support them along the way. But that type of change is sustainable. It's not just you treating the symptom, right? You need to find out what is the cause of all the problems that you're having. And mostly those type of physical manifestation, it's part of our internal kind of like issues that we didn't resolve. Could be past traumas, it could be some kind of negative talk that we are constantly having on a daily basis without realizing that, right? If you don't catch yourself and have somebody to kind of like have that mirror and show you what exactly are you saying to yourself and why are you saying those things. You have to figure out what started all of that. And with your self-awareness in the first place, you would be able to catch it and to interrupt that pattern. And once it's interrupted, that's where you see that release and you see the change that is happening. But that change is more sustainable because now you found the cause of all this physical problem that you were having, right? And that gives people that freedom to understand that mostly everything that we are having right now is because of our own creation in some kind of way, right? And we have to take that responsibility of our mental and physical health, and having people who can support you, who can show you and guide you, and you just become more empowered knowing that now you are in charge and you can change everything that you have in life pretty much. And that's what I'm passionate about. I want people to know that you know the the life in their head that they have right now, it's not just what they see around them, but what is possible to create as well. And again, like with them knowing that they're the ones that could make that happen, that what gives you more of when you start seeing more opportunities around you. Because if you don't know and you don't believe in that in the first place, that's where you kind of shut yourself off and you live in that box without seeing anything further away. But it doesn't mean it's not there. It's just the way you decided to approach life. But you have to realize that it's your life and you're the one who can make it great.
In my past career in health insurance, specifically, I dealt with health insurance in regards to supplemental and life insurance,
Yeah.
a little bit of Medicare here and there. One of the chronic diseases that I saw amongst people of all ages was diabetes. Big problem here in America,
Mm,
especially.
right.
My question for you is, what were some of the chronic illnesses that you were just talking about earlier that you feel like could be avoided, that you were seeing a lot of? Can
Mm-hmm.
you name some of those chronic diseases that you
Yeah,
were
of
coming
course.
across?
Yeah, mostly it's high blood pressure, and like you mentioned, diabetes. Also, autoimmune conditions, the skin conditions that we see, like usually it's kind of like a dry skin, some kind of flare ups that you have on your skin. It's considered autoimmune, where you're pretty much you stress to the level where your immune system started to like you approach it as an invader. So it's not helping you, but you are kind of like trying to attack it, you know? So, and with that, everything like comes on the surface and you see it as a, you know, skin condition. Also, you know, I've noticed a lot of people have anxiety, sleep issues, depression, all of those, right? All the mental illnesses, maybe like some extreme cases, mostly like, you know, schizophrenia, it could be more complicated case, but everything mostly starts with, you know, feeling sad and like going more and deeper into depression. And when people, just started taking medication, they kind of like they're not fixing anything. They just they check out, you know, like they just escape, right? With them taking the medication like antidepressant, they start feeling better, but it's just like a temporary release of certain like neurotransmitters that help you to feel this way in the moment. But it's not that you release that problem that, you know, give you that type of feeling in the first place, that type of sadness, why you started feeling depressed, right?
Right.
And I've noticed like psychiatrists, doctors, they prescribe medication right and left. They really like they into that business of making money with pharmaceutical companies as well. So and you don't know like who to trust, really. Like you would think, all of us think, if we go to the doctor, whatever they say we have to follow, right? But sometimes you have to question, you have to know yourself to the level that you know it's not like normal for you, like it's not how I'm supposed to be feeling, it's not what my body feels like when it's normal, right? And you have to question, you don't have to take everything for the way it is, for like as if it's the truth, the fact, right? And looking into alternative or like holistic type of medication, or you know, practices that would help you, that could take longer than taking a pill, because we all always want to feel it like right away, like we want to feel that you know, fix in within an hour, it's like after we take it, right? But again, like it's just gonna last for a few hours, and then you're gonna come back to the same you know, reality that you started with. But with you dedicating your time into more, I would say, sustainable way of dealing with that issue, it could take longer, but it might never come back. So, you know, like what is the most important for you? You have to look in the long term kind of like result, right? Why are you doing certain things now? Like I always ask people, like, why are you taking this, right? Do you know what it's for? Because people just they don't know. That's what my doctor prescribed me, so maybe I need it. What if you don't, right? Nobody is questioning, and nobody is raising any awareness of what really is the problem here. And with them not being not really like prioritizing their own health, you know, and putting that health in the you know, in the hands of somebody else, that's where you lose that power, that's where you feel weak, that's where you know, you kind of like go with the flow, you don't know what's happening, why it's happening, and living by default, it's not what you want in your life, because you're gonna end up, you know, having more issues on top of that, because it's piling up, actually, like all those chronic conditions that I mentioned. Usually, you know, one starts after another, and most of them, they start with stress. Like I see the common denomination here, where we don't have that lifestyle where we can just de-stress daily, you know, and making sure that we feel good and normal. Again, like what's normal is, right? We think normal is always being in rush, working, doing, and we never stop, pause, have a deep breath, and ask ourselves like why we in that rush, right? And why we not taking time to like relax and de-stress. I don't know. That's became normal. I mean, again, like it's here in New York City. That's what I'm seeing around me. That's what people like. They just 50, 60 hours a week working constantly, right? And then they kind of, they wonder why they feeling this way. And that's because we have to integrate daily habits in our routine every single day, making it a priority. You have to find time. Of course, I've heard excuses when they say, but that's because I work so much. How can I find time to meditate, to, I don't know, exercise, right? Yes, that's because you have to make that time for yourself. You have to literally schedule, like have that time slot every single day, put in your schedule and do your work around that. So first, that should be your priority, right? And then another type of work that you're doing, it has to be around that, because if you're not gonna refuel yourself and recharge on constantly on a daily basis, you are gonna be burnt out, and you are gonna uh, you know work yourself to the point where you have nothing to give, pretty much, because everything will affect eventually your professional life, your personal life. So with you not making time every single day, that will backfire later on, and you will see that you would be forced to find that time, but it won't be on your condition. Then maybe you would have no choice but to do it. Some people end up in hospital, having heart attack. Could be 40 years old, young person, but he worked so much. You never know like when it's gonna happen.
Right.
But with you taking those actions to prevent that from happening, that's where your power is, and that's where you're gonna see the growth.
I'm going to pull up your website here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me a moment here. Want to talk about biomental.org, right? Which
Okay.
is your co founder of your business.
Yes.
And there's different types of pills and capsules
Uh-huh.
of supplements that you could take, all 100% vegan products. So let's
Yes.
pull that up here for a second, show the viewers. All right. And let's see here.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. Biomental, right? So we got
Yeah.
natural solutions to strengthen your body and mind, energy flow to last the entire day,
Mm-hmm.
focus. We got the focus pills, mental clarity to prioritize your workflow or your workload, robust immunity to protect your health. We also have fusion, which is the mental clarity to help solve the most difficult tasks. I might need that. Immunity
Mm-hmm.
resilience to shorten down time, and shield, which is enhanced protection to bolster your natural defenses. Increase
Yes.
stamina to boost your performance. Might need that as well for workouts. Victory, fast recovery to support your fitness goals. Okay. And then high
Mm-hmm.
energy throughout the duration of your workouts. All right. So, like I mentioned before, 100% vegan ingredients. So, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
have that play in the background. Okay. Or
All right.
so let's talk about this. Where can you tell the listeners about this company?
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you can briefly go into why you started it, and then also talk about these things that we're seeing here on how it can benefit people throughout their day, depending on which ones they take, or just collectively what these supplements will do for you, because the supplement industry is $1 billion industry.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are coming out with new supplements every day. Unfortunately, a lot of people are scamming this industry. They're
Yeah.
just putting anything in a capsule and selling it, and then having China put it all together for them and distributing it. I've seen plenty of documentaries on this.
Yeah.
So you being a pharmacist and actually having a lot of knowledge and
Yes.
in the different elements and chemicals and different minerals that go into pills, so to speak. Can you tell the listeners first why you started this company? And then second, if you can go into what these supplements, which I believe there's 5 of them, there's 5 different capsules?
Four
4.
different formulas. Yes.
Okay, so the 4 different formulas too, if you can go into that.
Yeah, of course. So the reason I started the company is, like I mentioned, I wanted to provide support for people in terms of that supplement is just an extract from natural plant itself, and there are a lot of plants that grown that have a lot of benefits, and I looked into that more closely while doing this holistic health coach certification as well. And I found the benefits that we would need as human beings in order to go through the day and feel that type of energy flow that we need in order to achieve our goals and tasks, and not feeling burned out, stressed out, and having that type of mental clarity that we all need without feeling like foggy, confused, or tired. And again, and like we know, like for example, coffee, right? It just gives us a boost of energy for like maybe an hour or so, but we want a more sustained and longer period of time where we don't need to think about it, where it's just, doing a thing, but at the same time we don't want to take any chemicals that would harm our body in any way, because all of this pharmaceutical, again, everything has a side effect mostly. And I know, like, people don't understand that every type of medication by prescription that they take in, it has a lot of side effects to them. So sometimes you don't realize why you started feeling this way after taking it, but that could be the reason. So I wanted to create formulas where, you know it will be safe. Usually those plants, and I've researched them, and I have the data behind it. It has no side effects that would affect any your daily activities at all. So it's safe and it's proven to work because it has clinical data on it with a study on people that's been done before. And all of the benefits, they are, like I mentioned, based on the formula that you choose. Let's say Focus, right? Focus has 3 different ingredients to it, and where you can take it usually in the morning. It comes as a capsule. It's a vegan capsule. So it's easy to digest and take with any type of the drink in the morning before you start your day. 2 capsule per day, that's enough for you to feel that type of support that you need and be really focused on the work that you're doing. And you will realize that, again, like, it's not gonna you're gonna see the effect after, I would say, couple weeks of doing that every day, taking it in the morning, because supplements, they tend to work as a, it's like a compound effect. You have to take them for a certain period of time, but give yourself at least a couple weeks to see the difference of the way that you've been feeling, and you will
Right.
notice, right?
Yes.
So but I'm telling you now, everything, all of the sources, it's, but first of all, it's made in United States, right? And
Great.
everything is on the bottle. Yeah, no
Not
China,
in China,
nothing.
people. Not in
No,
China.
no China. It's in a certified facility, FDA registered facility. Everything that they need in terms of like certification, they have. So we partner with a manufacturer that based in the United States, and they made those formulas for the company with the ingredients that we are ask them to put inside, and we know the sources of ingredients. Everything is natural, organic, and vegan. Capsules vegan, so for those who don't take gelatin capsule. And again, it's just one of the ways to support your daily routine. And like I said, focus is mostly to be focused and have that clarity. And we also have some formulation for your immune support as well. And everything is just extract from the plant itself. And if you go to the website, you will see all the benefits listed and how you're gonna feel afterwards. But like I said, you have to give yourself some time to see the results. But that was my idea behind creating the company, to have something safe and something that people would use just a way to support themselves, and to have that taken care of so they can focus on what matters in their life.
Wow, that's great. Um, so since you've started this company, what have matter of fact, let's talk about that. Like, since you started this company, in regards to your purpose, do you feel like this is one of those things where you're really serving your purpose and getting people to have a healthier lifestyle with these supplements and what it's doing for people?
Right. So again, it's one of the factors that we need to consider when we talk about, um, overall well-being, right? So a lot of it comes from the food that we eat, right? Like I always say,
Yes.
it's about the diet. It's like 70% of the diet and 30% of exercise and like activities that you do with your body. So whatever you put in your mouth, whatever you eat, you have to be conscious about it. Sometimes people just take whatever when they feel hungry, they don't think about anything but just like to release that tension inside of them. But you have to be mindful of what you eat, what kind of food you eat, and then if you need to take any supplement that could help you, and they are safe, that uh, it would just kind of like give you that extra support. That's something I would recommend to look into. And also, like, yeah, it supports my purpose, and also it's one of the factors. It's not the only thing that is important. Like I said, mostly it comes from your self-awareness. So uh,
Mm,
with uh, with people doing that internal work on themselves, and you know trying to connect to their true nature, that's where you're gonna feel more empowered. And that work that I'm doing with the podcast, like you mentioned, intern podcast that I started a few months ago, I also talk about those topics: mental health, and stories that people have, what they've been through, and how they accomplished certain tasks or went through some kind of issues. Yes, I want people to hear it. Why? Because we think in our head that we are the only ones going through these issues, right? We don't see um, any type of connection with others. And I want them to know that if that person did it and went through this, you can do it too. So, first of all, to show that it's possible, and to share what tools been used. And I want them to, again, to prioritize that mental and physical health, to get in their mind that if you're not going to change anything about what you're doing, nothing will change, right? So
right.
that change starts within you, but it has to start as an awareness first. And like I mentioned, food that we eat, it affects our mental clarity. Like we feel so foggy, tired, and we don't want to do anything. So it it's a very important factor to consider, because that what also could facilitate that that mental clarity that could come to you in order for you to realize something, right?
Right.
So it's your daily practices, how you taking care of yourself. What is self-care for you? What is self-love for you? What are you doing for yourself to help you heal, to help you release that stress, and to find, that purpose in life? Because at the end of the day, we have to enjoy what we're doing. Like, if you feel stuck and unfulfilled and stressed, there's something wrong that's going on, right? Like,
Right.
you have to stop, you have to take that time off. I mean, it will be a time in your life where you're forced to do it, right? You don't want to wait for that time. So those type of emotions, this another another topic is how we process our emotions, right? And with us shutting them down and ignoring them, it's not the best way to live, because we have to address them. It's not just for you to kind of to escape it. It's like a signal for you to realize that something is not right. And why am I feeling this way? What does it tell me, right? Like, you have to be more curious and look into uh, the issue that you're having, and why are you feeling this way. And maybe you need to process that emotion. It could be a trigger to something that you had in the past. And with having a lot of practitioners nowadays and people who can help you, I always say the best investment you can do is in yourself, right? And that's where it starts, because everything else will reflect out into your life. And it will be just natural if you're gonna change the way that you feel really like happy and joyful. It will be a different life to live.
Right. Let's talk about the podcast,
Hmm.
because now that you're also serving your purpose with your podcast, you're a new podcaster.
Yeah.
So you're learning about all the trials and tribulations that come from starting a podcast, and in the beginning processes of it. So what has that been like in the short period of time that you've been podcasting?
Feels great, actually. I love doing it. And right now I'm doing like 3 episodes a week, and I'm
Okay.
having interview with people from different backgrounds, but they all have stories to share with the listeners. And like I mentioned, they just telling their story and how they realized something and what they did in their life to help themselves. And I try to highlight important ideas in their story, and we just get in conversation about what matters and what people can learn from it, and what lessons they learned and what they can share. So I think it's important for us to be aware that other people going through the same thing as we are, and we're not alone in this. And again, like, everything starts within ourselves. And every single person that I've been interviewing, all of them, they first change the way they are, and then they've noticed how their life changed. And again, like, it's not just me saying, it's the actual people and their stories. That's what I want to say. Like, it's not a book that you read, but you hear real people stories. And you know that uh, it's possible. But again, it starts with you. If you're not gonna do anything about it, nothing will change. So you have to take action. That's the most difficult part. I've noticed people keep listening, keep reading, but something like not motivating them. It has to be motivating enough for you to start making action in terms of change, right? And usually those action in order to kind of facilitate that, we start with the daily habits. So I like talking about daily habits that we can incorporate in our routine every single day. And if you just start with one, and by you doing it consistently, that's the most difficult part. Again, like with us expecting the result right away, people give up in like few days, right? But if
Right.
you really make that decision first that you want to do it, and give yourself at least a month, you have to give time and see what could happen, and have that kind of like faith, and believe that it could help you. Then with you doing it, you're just gonna be surprised that that small incremental change could, change so much in your life. And once you start incorporating one good habit, it usually like brings another one, and you know next thing you know, like you kind of like uh, you set up a structure in your life where everything is like automatically helping you to achieve your goals, right? But again, it has to start with your decision and your commitment to change.
So I'm looking forward to being on your podcast as well.
Yay.
How many episodes do you have so far?
So far released, today was the 49
Oh,
episode. Yeah.
great. Now is this are you going to be doing seasons or is just you going straight through?
Like I was thinking about it. For now, I have season 1, episode 49, but who knows? Maybe like at some point, I'm just gonna close it and start season 2. I'm just going with the flow and see what happens.
There you
But
go.
yeah.
Yeah. I do 100 episodes per season.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way I do it. Some people do
Right.
30, some people do 20. It all depends on what you want to
Yeah.
do.
Could be 100. We'll see.
Yeah. Um
And I would love to have you as a guest. That would be a great show.
yeah, we talked about that, and what I'm going to do is this week, I might do it tonight if I have time. I'm going to set up
Uh,
my profile on Podmatch and then I'll
okay.
contact you on Podmatch and well, I could be you could be my first interview on
Mhm.
Podmatch because there's a couple other people waiting for me. So I'll
Okay.
contact you first and then we'll make that happen. It's something that I'm still working on to this day as far as organizing
Mhm.
my day and having more structure because I have a gabillion things going on, especially in my mind.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's hard to pick which one I'm going to do, even when I have that written down. Because sometimes I may want to, I have something to do at a specific time, but I get distracted with something that pops up that is cause for concern that I need to deal with at that time. And sometimes I may put the the thing that I have to do at that particular time to the side and
Mm.
then do other things. So I'm working on that. I'm
Yeah.
prioritizing sticking to a particular regiment.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because when I was younger, I
Mhm.
had that. And somehow as I got older, especially after I became a father, when I became a father, everything really
Yeah.
changed in how I thought about things and prioritizing. And it is funny because I somewhat became a little bit less responsible when I became a father.
Um,
It's not, I mean, I'm not proud to admit that, but it's just the reality of things because things got a little off balance when I became a dad.
mhm.
But with that being said, like this thing with the power of the mind, right? And
Mhm.
really understanding ourselves because you talked about self-awareness and of course this show is all about spiritual self and social
Yes.
awareness. Awareness is everything. Our perception of our reality is everything because however we perceive our reality is how we're going to live our lives.
Mhm.
And I'm a major proponent of not believing the lies. And unfortunately, we live in a world that is constantly lying to us when it comes to the powers that shouldn't be, when it comes to our governments and these institutions that are constantly dictating what we should deem as important in our lives, when the only people that can determine what is important in our life is ourselves, based on
Mhm.
what we value and what we want to do with ourselves. um what's the best advice you can give the listeners on how they could change their life, right? what's
Mhm.
that what's that key ingredient that you think would be the best advice to help people to change their lives for the better? People that right now that are listening, that are struggling with moving forward in and becoming a better version of themselves than they were yesterday. People that are suffering from depression,
Yeah.
suffering from and depression goes a lot of different ways, right? I
Mhm.
mean, I remember a study in 2017 that said 93% of Americans suffer from some form of depression.
Mhm.
And I truly believe, and I can't state this as a fact, but I think a lot of people suffer from depression is because they don't have a spiritual self awareness. They don't see themselves as a spiritual being. They start
Mhm.
to accept this physical reality as that which is and all is, which is not true because our experience here on this planet is so temporary compared to what we truly are. But
Yeah.
because we don't know that until most of the time, most people don't find that out until they die. And that
Yeah.
spirit leaves the body. And then whatever experience that goes on from there, that's when they're going to figure things out or understand what this all is about. But some
Mhm.
of us understand that before we leave these bodies. And I think that's a responsibility that all of us should have in getting to know now while we're still in these bodies and being created in the image of the higher power, the most high or great creator. So, what's that advice that you could give for people to help them change their life for the better?
Yeah, and I agree with you on terms of spiritual awareness. And we are so much into physical. We see ourselves only like our bodies, and that's not who we are, right? Or sometimes I see people being kind of like defining themselves as the role that they play. Like, I'm a pharmacist, I'm a doctor, but this
Yes.
is not who you are,
Hmm.
right? It's just one of the temporary roles that you play at the moment. And they don't, see that distinction between those kind of like ways of describing themselves. And that spiritual awareness is important because that gives you that connection to the higher power. And you don't know who that is. Maybe you can call God or universe, but something created you, and you are here for a reason. There are no mistakes, right? So
Yes.
all of
Yeah.
us here for a reason, with our special gift to share with others, right?
Right.
And it would be selfish for you not to share it. And you have to figure out a way to be at your best, to be the great that you can be. All of us have that blueprint within ourselves to be the best that we can be. But those who are not, they are the one limiting themselves, right? And they have to realize that the only limit that we put on ourselves is, with the stories that we tell, with the negative thinking that we have, and we are allowing ourselves to kind of like get off track of what matters. With, like you mentioned, a lot of people are lying around you. It could be through news, social media, government. Yes, and you have to filter what you're hearing. Don't take it like as a truth, because again, you have to ask yourself, what they telling you, is that for your benefit? Is that for your greater good? Like,
Most of the time, it's not.
or it's just for their own profit, right?
Right. Yep.
So you have to know like the agenda behind what you're hearing. And again, like, focus. That's what's most important thing. We can get control of our focus, and 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 put it into work in order to create that person, that best version, right? But
Right.
our focus, within our control only if we aware what we choose to give it time to, right? Again, like, if you just sit today and take inventory of what's going on in your life, what are you giving focus to every single day? What are you doing? Okay, you working 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week. Okay, you're working for somebody. Why are you doing this, right? Is that something that will bring you really some kind of fulfillment in a way? Or you're doing it because you are building somebody else's asset and they are getting profit from it, and you're just feeling like burnt out? How about you starting your own thing, your own company, or whatever, like, side uh, hobby? Or you can start with something small, but like, you have to ask yourself, what would give me that joy and sense of purpose? And it has to be more than just like a desire. It has to be connected with their with a purpose to serve others, something that can bring to the world, right? And I always like to talk about ikigai, and I don't know if you know about it. This is like a Japanese concept. It's called ikigai, right? And it's like a intersection of four different areas, right? First one is, you have to ask yourself, what are you passionate about, right? What are you passionate about? You have to, like, really write it down, like, what would give you that joy. And just don't think about like how you can make it working in terms of business. Just what would give you joy, what kind of activity, right? Then you have to ask yourself, what are you good at, what kind of skills you have, right? So knowing that you already have some type of degrees, like you are skillful in certain areas, write that down. Then you have to see what the world needs right now, right? Like, you live in this world, you see the issues that we're having. Sometimes, like, it pops up in your head, those ideas. Oh, that would be nice if we had this and that, but it's missing. There's nothing like that out there right now. So what the world needs, what do you think it needs? What would you need? What is missing, right? Write that down. And the next one, the fourth one, is how you can make money out of it, like how you can put it into some kind of business model that it could, pay you for what you're doing. So all of four of them, they have to intersect, and that's where you're going to find that life purpose. And it's just, and then it will be just natural for you to grow if you focus on that, if you focus on building that, right? Don't be distracted with all those social media or whatever people are saying around you. You have to put that focus, your energy, like, it's just your energy that you choosing to kind of like channel into a certain direction. And we know where energy goes, everything like grows. So it has to be deliberate, it has to be intentional, with you knowing why you're doing this, what you're doing, having that time on your schedule, growing that thing that you're working on, and doing it consistently. And that's where you, again, like, after a while, could be 3 5 years, I don't know, it depends on like what type of business you're trying to grow, what are you working on, but it will take some time. But then you will see how, everything will dissolve. Whatever is not meant to be in your life, it will just disappear, right? So once you start focusing on what matters for you and what would bring you that fulfillment, with you enjoying that process, you usually have to pick something that you are passionate about. And even maybe in the beginning you're not gonna get like some money out of it, but eventually all those opportunities will come to your way. Again, talking about spiritual connection, because that's your goal here, to be the best that you can be, your blueprint, right? If you are focusing your energy into realizing that, and that power supporting you to be the best that you can be, you will see that support along the way. But you have to start doing it. You have to go to that direction and believe. You have to believe and have faith, because again, like, just
Right.
thinking about it, wishing, not gonna do anything. And you have to like I said, with any type of support that you have in terms of, like, could be supplement or like food, everything that comes into your body, it affects the way you see things, with the mental clarity, right? So with you being more aware, you have to support yourself with the type of food that you eat, right? So you have to know what you put in your body. You have to take care of your body, okay? Because like I mentioned, we're not just our bodies, but this is where you live in this lifetime. You have to take care of that vessel that you're in, right? And also knowing that whatever you put inside, it could be either medicine or poison, right? You can poison
Right.
yourself to the point where, like, you lost in life and you don't know what's happening. And also, I usually talk about addictions as well, because those are the ways we escape from reality. When we don't like seeing what we're seeing or feeling what we're feeling, we just find a way to kind of check out and
Right.
using those substances. And it's destructive. It's called self-destruction. That's what you're doing to yourself. So you have to really get to the point where you start loving yourself. Everything starts with self-love, right?
Right.
So if you don't prioritize your health, if you don't love yourself, mm, uh, as much as you would love like your child, right? To very like have that deep connection and knowing that I'm here for a reason, and the reason is bigger than just me. And I know that I'm gonna impact a lot of people, but I need to get my things straight. I need to do my part. I need to focus on what matters, and I need to prioritize my health because I'm important. A lot of people, like, they think they're not worthy, right? Like they come up with different reasons why they're not worthy. But again, it's your negative self-talk. Like I told you before, like those patterns of negative self-talk, it's destructive. You have to catch yourself. You have to have that mental clarity and catch yourself, disrupt that negative pattern of thinking anything bad about yourself, and really bring that peace and acceptance of who you are, what you've been through. And again, like some people trying to kind of like separate themselves from their past, right? And they are ashamed or feel guilty. It could be some kind of emotions that come to the surface when they think about their past. But again, like, you have to forgive yourself for what you did, what you've been through, and accept everything that you are, everything that you did. And with that acceptance, you're in control, you own like who you are. And that's when the change start happening. If I know this is who I am and I accept myself fully, I love myself, and I give myself that forgiveness, from this point I could make that change, and there's nothing that I can do, and I know what's important.
Very well said. All praises to the Most High for that. Let's give you a round of applause for that. sounds like they're saying Anna, Anna.
And
So very well said. Um, Spiritual awareness is everything. It really is. Self-awareness, you mentioned self-love. Addictions is a big problem. Many of
Mhm,
us use addictions to cope as a coping mechanism with our lives
mhm,
for things that we feel are not going well for us and all those other things. So you everything you just said makes so much sense, and I hope that people really take notes on what you said, because you covered it all in what you just said as far as how our experiences go when we're dealing with ourselves. And one of the
mhm,
biggest problems that we have with ourselves is really being honest with ourselves and looking into
mhm,
that mirror and looking at us and nothing else, instead of looking at everything that may be in the image of that mirror that's around us, but really
mhm,
just focusing on the spiritual being having the physical experience. And I think that people more and more are starting to do that, especially with people like yourself that are bringing an awareness to that on the platforms that you have,
mhm,
to give people a channel to seek that information and have a place to go to when they want to learn about these things and grow as an
mhm,
individual, because it's very important for us to do that. I think that now with the pandemic, when the pandemic came, this is something I talk about a lot on the show, is that I'm so grateful for the pandemic because it in regards to the United States, I've always been a major proponent of talking about how this country is filled with lies. Pretty much everything
mhm,
we've been taught since kids, growing up here, has been a lie.
mhm,
And I can give you a prime example. When we were in school, we were taught that Benjamin Franklin discovered electricity by flying a kite. We all know that
mhm,
that is bogus. It's
mhm,
insane. But as a kid, if you don't know any better and you're being taught that in a regimented, structured place like school, which is an institution of misinformation, you're going to believe that to be true until you find out that that's not. And a lot of times, what's that term called? Cognitive dissonance. A
mhm,
lot of us, we're
mhm,
so stuck on certain belief systems based through our egos that we fight it off through our ego, because the ego will fight to the very death to defend itself, to
mhm,
prove that it's right, even though everything is proving that it's wrong. But the ego is going to be like, no, I'm right, you know? And that's the big
mhm.
problem in the world today. And the pandemic really exposed that for what that truly is on a global level, collectively, especially here in the United, what I call the United, I don't call it the United States, I call it the United Shenanigans of America.
Okay.
All right. Because it's all
Uh-huh.
based on lies. This whole
Yeah.
country's a lie. This country was built on lies.
And
This
it's
country was
not just
built.
United States.
Oh yeah, it's all over the world.
Yeah.
But I'm only can talk about my personal experience because I didn't
Yeah.
I, I didn't grow up in Russia. I didn't grow up in China. But I know that the world is filled with lies.
Yeah.
That's what I talk about on my show. I started off with, if you look at my description, it's like the world is
Uh-huh.
is filled with a lot of uncertainty and lies.
Mm.
All
I
right. That's
know.
why we got to
Yeah.
find the truth within ourselves and be the example of that truth in the world,
Mhm.
because we can't change the world. Nobody, one person can change the world, but we can make a difference. And that
Mhm.
difference can bring about change in other people's lives by setting the example. And
Yeah, definitely.
the pandemic, you know what the pandemic did? It really, not for everybody, but it really put people in a position to start thinking about what they can do, that you alluded to and mentioned before, about getting a side hustle, a hobby, and doing
Mhm.
things more independently and becoming more entrepreneurially mindset, a more entrepreneurial mindset into doing things for ourselves, opposed to making other people's dreams become a
Mhm.
reality and being an asset for them instead of being an asset for ourselves, for our own
Yeah.
personal well-being. And the pandemic really brought that to light. I mean, in so many different ways, and continues to do so as we speak, as you and I are doing this podcast.
Mhm.
So with that being said, um, let's um let's talk about, what I always talk about: success. I like to be a man of worth instead of being
Mhm.
a man of success, because Success is temporary, just like our emotions, like happiness. I equate happiness and success in the same uh level, because happiness is a moment to moment thing. Nobody can be
Mm-hmm.
happy all the time. You can't be successful all the time. Success is temporary. Success to me is a feeling that it's like, yes, I accomplished that. Yay. Then it's over. It's like, what's next? Like in the marketing world, in sales,
Yeah.
there's a common saying in sales: you're only as good as your last sale. I know you probably heard that plenty of
Of
times.
course.
Um, and and that's the world we live in with that mindset. It's like you're only as good as your last sale. But in reality, when
Mm,
it comes to the spiritual understanding, you are good all the time if you have that understanding that there's gonna be ups, there's going to be downs. But you know what? When it comes to the spirit of the Most High, that universal force of our great creator, even when it's bad, it's still all good, because you got to go through your ups and downs. You have to, life is a roller coaster, but it's all about enjoying the journey. It's all
mhm.
about understanding that you're not going to be happy all the time. You're going to be sad. But when you're sad, that's a good thing, because that sadness is going to bring more awareness. And when you're happy, it's going to bring more awareness. And it all comes together. It's all pieces of this puzzle of life. And then when you start putting all the pieces together, things start making more and more sense, to where you don't become overwhelmed with the experience, because you know it's just an experience and that's it. And I think a lot of people, the problem is, and you mentioned this, is that they focus too much on the shortcomings and the transgressions.
Mhm.
And failure only becomes permanent when we accept it as so, instead of accepting it as just a temporary experience to make us better, right? A
Yeah.
loss is not a loss that's forever. A loss is a loss. It happens, but you keep going, because whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And in my personal experiences, I've learned that a lot, is that I'm a very resilient person based on all the losses I've had, all the failures that I've had,
Mm.
that made me the man I am present day. And I'm only getting better through the grace of the Most High to understand that. So it's all about spiritual awareness. So when it comes to this thing called success, I know it's a question that you have on your profile. What does success mean to you?
Yes, everything that you said, I agree. And for me, success is seeing myself becoming that person, becoming the best that I can be. And it's not about achieving certain goals, because there could be tons of goals on my list, but it gives me, of course, some kind of pleasure at the moment to achieve those. But essentially, I want to be that high integrity leader, that person that impacts others, and person that leads by example and showing what's possible. And with me becoming that person, seeing myself grow, that's where I feel that success. And I know I'm still work in progress, as all of us, and it's never gonna stop. We're not gonna arrive. There is no destination, right? Everything is just checkpoints we're going through, and we need to realize those type of experiences that we have, and is our lessons in this world. We have to learn from it. We have to become stronger in a way, and with that learned lesson, you see that something else will, come into your life, and you could become a person that you never thought you might be. And that again comes back to that self-awareness, and seeing that those failures is just a way for you to focus on what matters and learn from that experience. And fail, and I usually don't call them failures, but say it's like it's just a temporary kind of like slow down in the process. And usually, like, if you feel uncomfortable, that's where you grow the most, right? Like, that's where you see something
Yes.
that you never been ready to face before, but now it's presented to you in that cover, and you have to deal with it. there is no way to escape. And even though it could be painful, uncomfortable, not pleasant, but with you going through that experience, then you learn and you become a different person because of that. And little by little, as you learn and go through the experiences, you see yourself evolving into a different type of person. And it's just, you're gonna notice how people start interacting different with you, like you meet in different type of energy as you grow, right? And again, like, it's not something that you can put your hand on, because it's not materialistic, like it's, like you said, spiritual. And you just need to have that in mind, that it's a process, and you're gonna go through those type of experiences, even unpleasant, where you have to deal with that. But the way you decide to address them and learn from them, that's what matters. And it's not for you to kind of find a way to escape, because if you don't do it now, it's gonna come back. Have you ever noticed, like, sometimes, like, you ask yourself, it's the same type of scenario, but in a different cover, it just comes back and back and back. And yes, because you didn't learn from it. And only once you learn, it's gonna go away. But you have to find that courage to deal with that situation, right? Because, like I said, there are no mistakes. It came to you for a reason, and that's how you grow. And you, as a human being, you want to be the best that you can be, and you have to go through those experiences to become better on the other side. And again, like, I know that there is a great life for every one of us, and we just need to embrace that journey, and to see that it's our power of, like, creating the life that we want, and again, like, working with a higher power helping us. And that's where we become co-creators of our reality. Whatever you have now, up until this point, it's because of your actions and your thoughts that you have, and that's all. Like, you have to just you have to accept that. And I know people, like, trying to blame something on somebody else. uh, with that mentality, with that mindset, you're not gonna go further, right? If you always have to find somebody else or something to blame on, that means you're giving away your power to that person, right? And yeah, and nothing will change in your life. So if you're not satisfied with what you have, you better take responsibility now and do something about it. And you will be so pleased to see who you can become as you grow. And then you're gonna look back, and you will just be more compassionate with that person that went through that type of issue that you had at that moment. But you have to find the courage to go through it, and to learn from it, and to change something about that you're doing right now. Because again, it's up to you. Nobody else will come and rescue you. It's all up to you.
Well said. Well said. Another round of applause, real quick.
Mhm.
So I want to thank you for coming on to the show. I want you to stick around for a bit. We're
Yeah,
gonna wrap things up.
thank you.
Um, of course, you're always more than welcome to come back, because I feel like I could talk to you more about these things
Mm,
for hours upon hours, but
I know.
unfortunately, we can't do that all in one day. So it's good to have you come back. And we'll set things up. I'll set up my account today to come onto your show, and we'll get that done this week
Sure,
to
let's
schedule
do
a date
it.
and time. So uh, before we wrap things up, because I'm gonna play some music, give some updates on your links there.
Mhm.
Any final comment or anything you want to say in the conclusion to this episode called The Power of the Mind, which is season 5, episode 70?
Yes, I want to say to our viewers and listeners that your power is within yourself. Find a way to connect with your inner power through all of the different type of practices that I mentioned, and having that lifestyle where everything is set up for your success. You have to look forward. You have to make sure that your focus go to the direction of creating the life that you want, and that power will always be with you, and you will see how everything will change in a matter of couple years once you start doing it. Just be responsible for your own life and be a co-creator of that reality right now, and don't procrastinate, but start taking action. That's what matters.
Very well said. Very well. So, brothers and sisters, you heard it from Sister Anna Brook, right? She's an entrepreneur, podcaster. She has a supplemental vitamin company called Biomental. And everything is in the bio, brothers and sisters, that you need to know about Anna. So some of the things is she's got at Brook 314. Is that for Google? Because I noticed you have a G there. Where it says connect to Anna.
No, that's
Um
it. Instagram. Instagram, you can
oh,
find me. The
let me
handle is ABROOK 314.
oh, okay. So let me put
Mm-hmm.
that I in there because
Yes.
I guess it must have deleted it or something.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure I do that right now. So that's you have actually two IGs. You have one for that, and then you also have the podcast
Yes.
IG.
It's
Okay.
intern podcast.
By the way, are you following me now on
Yeah, I
okay,
found
good.
it.
So I'm gonna follow you back
Okay.
after the show, and you're gonna see a lot of audiograms on my Instagram.
Mm,
So if you want to reshare that, feel free
of
to do so.
course.
And of
Yes.
course, I'm gonna send you some info too to your email one throughout the day, and so that you could promote this show however you like. Also
Mhm.
too, just let me pull this back up again so I can reference this. So here are some of the places, brothers and sisters, that are on the description box of wherever you're going to listen to the show, whether you're going to listen to the show on YouTube, or if you're going to listen to it on podcasts. I prefer you listen to it on the podcast, but if you want to watch it on YouTube, that's great. As well as Twitter. This is going to also be something that you can go to Twitter as well, which is my aura underscore NOA. And then the YouTube page is aura underscore the underscore informationalist. Now, if you want more information on what Anna's doing, you could visit her Spotify link. You can also go to her IG, which is at Brook314. She's got a LinkedIn page that's in there. She's also has her podcast IG, which is at Intern Podcast, and she has internpodcast.com. You can also learn about biomental.org if you want to get these supplements and subscribe to her newsletter slash email distribution, which is right on the website.
Mhm.
And all the information is there for you to get to know Anna, what she does, and be in tune with her broadcasting of her podcast as well. So with that being said, Anna, I want to thank you again for
Thank
coming on
you.
to the Network of Awareness podcast radio show. And brothers and sisters, we're gonna play some music. We're gonna play a song that I created with Brother Take One called "The Quest to Salvation" or "Quest for Salvation." And before we play that, as we always end the show, the show is all about spiritual, self, and social awareness. And I think that Anna did a great job on bringing that out, bringing the importance of
Mhm.
spiritual and self awareness as well as social awareness. And I really thank you because you really put a spotlight on the importance of charity, because we can have all the knowledge in the world, but if we don't apply the knowledge that we have, then we're not very charitable at all. And we're pretty much
Mhm.
wasting our time with all that knowledge because it's not being shared amongst other people around the world.
Yeah, I always say knowledge is not power, but how you apply this knowledge. That's where power lies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, brothers and sisters, as I always say, when you live in the present, there is always an opportunity for a new beginning. And don't look for the light at the end of the tunnel, because the light is and always will be within you. So light up the tunnel and find your way through the darkness. This is all the informationalists from the Network of Awareness, as well as Anna Brook from Biomental and Intern Podcast, signing off, saying peace, love, and light, brothers and sisters, and all praise to the Most High. And shalom, brothers and sisters. Until we meet again, we're going to rock out with this song called The Quest for Salvation. All right. And Anna, stick around for a minute, and we'll wrap it up in just a moment.
He's gonna save the awakened and take him to an ageless haven. Patient, I can't straight away, gotta keep obliterating the pavement. Still remember that day on the phone, Mark, he said, don't you take your foot off the gas. Always something to give y'all praises.
We're in a dark oasis, countless cases, a peak of faithless. I'm gonna need the patience to beat the chases. We seek his gracious for true salvation. We keep embracing, we go on blazing these revelations. Teach the haters, no altercations. Good vibrations, we back to basics to build foundations. Y'all defeated Satan. I made mistakes on purpose to divide the worth from the worthless. Reveal the facts to be certain. No pain, no gain in the verses. My faith been alive before churches, cause Yah is person on person. So I'm worried about complicated versions, cause the call to divine divergence. I'm still hurting, soul searching, networking and murking. Anytime they can drop my curtain, with a spirit that city suburban. I'm seriously merging and physically working on my purpose to lyrically service the mental malnourishing till I perish. People pursuing acts of violence, their persistent act of defiance, freely forming a righteous alliance, truly against the science appliance. On a mission with wisdom and guidance, steady defeating the ignorant science, sealing convicted and non-compliant. Spiritual wars to move in
Let's
silence.
talk about what matters. Drop the vanity. Folks out here losing their sanity. Kids popping off, lost in fantasies. People grieving over loss of family. The evil that be with the power, turning the people with credence to cowards, seeking to seize believers with vows. Man, even Stevie can see that it's foul.
I made mistakes on purpose to divide the worth from the worthless. Reveal the facts to be certain. No pain, no gain in the verses. My faith been alive before churches, cause Yah is person on person. So I'm worried about complicated versions, cause the call to divine divergence. I'm still hurting, soul searching, networking and murking. Anytime you can drop my curtain, with a spirit that city suburban. I'm seriously merging and physically working on my purpose to lyrically service the mental malnourishing till I perish.
Depression gone with every song. Music led by another echelon.
To get you strong, keep pressing on, long after we dead and gone.
From dusk till dawn, we're righteously armed with spiritual lessons from Yah.
We where we belong, we keeping on, the righteous with third of Zion.
Records embellished with heavenly eloquence.
Elohim's presence presently evident.
Intricate elements, infinite intelligence.
Spiritual specimens lyrically resonant.
People's inheritance, smaller percentages.
Carefully measured and meant to be
With
shared.
the message projected, cemented, embedded.
The sensible question is, what will you give from it? I made mistakes on purpose to divide the worth from the worthless. Reveal the facts to be certain. No pain, no gain in the verses. My faith been alive before churches, cause Yah is person on person. So I'm worried about complicated versions, cause the call to divine divergence. I'm still hurting, soul searching, networking and murking. Anytime you can drop my curtain, with a spirit that city suburban. I'm seriously merging and physically working on my purpose to lyrically service the mental malnourishing till I perish.